Okay, what's going on, people from around the world? The Matt and Todd Show, Locker Room Special. We are live here on the scene. We appreciate you guys for stopping by and hanging out with us for just a few minutes tonight. Well, picture's worth 1,000 words. We're going to break in here, and we're going to break this game down about 100 different ways. Who is ready? The SEC championship game. It's going to be a thriller. It always is. Bama and Georgia always seem to lock up in this conference title game. And, we're all we've been waiting probably since about mid-season when I felt like Bama was probably hitting their stride and starting to play a little bit better. Everybody's been kind of waiting for this game to come up. Now I'm going to break down some ideas of how does Alabama win this game? Where's their weak spots? Where are they good at? And I could give some ideas about where Georgia is strong and where they're weak at, but we need to bring on the man of the hour, the living legend himself. You can't hold him down in them alligator sneakers he's got over there. The Birge, Northwest Georgia Scoreboard Show's finest. How you doing today, young fella?
Doing pretty good. How you doing?
I'm good. Good to see you.
It's good to be here.
It is good to be here. We got SEC time. It's always good. We got the SEC title game. What do you want, Jack? You want to go out, and you're going to want to come back in. Okay. All right, take it away, Birds. Give us some ideas of well, first let's talk about the bring in that top six there, and let's give me some of your thoughts on this Florida State and Oregon mysterious thing. I'm going to be right back. Hang on. But give us an idea on that.
Well, top six. I mean, let me search it out so I can post it up here for you guys. I don't know about y'all, but I was kind of shocked to see Washington. I know Washington jumped Florida State. Everybody had a tough week. I really didn't know if Washington would end up still above them. I'm thinking Florida State may be in trouble even if they win out, depending on how it goes. What about you, big man?
Yes, sir. There's many different scenarios and how it could all lay out, and we could do a whole show on that. But we're here to do Georgia, Bama. But just the basic ideas and these thoughts of how this has kind of played out. I was so aggravated when it first happened, when it first come out. I nearly went on, just picked my phone up and hit the live button. I just can't understand. And this ain't got nothing to do with Alabama. I'm a football guy first, and I'm an Alabama fan second, and a Georgia fan third, honestly. There's just no way that you can possibly try to tame my mind to make me believe that Florida State is better than Oregon or Ohio State. So here's the question. What's the committee trying to do? Are they just going to put in the most deserving teams? Because that's always – that word comes up a lot. We watch Joel Klatt. We watch his shows. I carry him a lot and really paid a lot of attention to Greg McElroy. I appreciate their ideas. And even Cowherd sometimes. Yeah. And Feinbaum some, But mostly probably Greg Mack and Joel. And I like Crane and Company. They get a little Auburn swayed because of they were there and part of that program. They get a little off sometimes. They get a little wild because they're really passionate about their school. I get it. But I just don't – where's the sauce in selling me the idea of this crap? There's no way that Florida State without their quarterback even has a shot to beat probably the three teams under them, at least the two. Oregon, Ohio State, I don't think they have a chance to beat them. Texas and Florida State may be a good game, especially without their quarterback. And I would give Bama a puncher's chance against the Florida State team because run defensively would be, I'd like to see how how they would match up. Benson's a good back. But as we saw just from the Louisville, Kentucky game, Birge, we've seen how that kind of fell apart, for Louisville against a mediocre 7 or 8 win Kentucky team. So that's kind of how I feel about that. I'm confused at what they're doing because they're saying one thing, but they're doing something else. Here's a thing on that. I don't want another 50 to nothing game for a title game. And it looks like what we're getting. K-State wins the Big 12. They get Bama in the off bowl. Yeah, but they put TC. I don't understand what they're doing. Why? Tell me why.
Well, I mean, the way I look at it is they're going to put the 4 teams that they can justify by their schedule, by their wins and losses, by who they played. I mean, they're setting it up that even if Bama beats Georgia, they're setting it up in a certain instance where you might have a team, you might be comparing Texas and Alabama, and I'm telling you right now, I think Booger McFarland said it too. There may be a world where there's no SEC teams in if Bama gets a win this week.
Yeah, I can see that, and that's not something we're hoping for. So in the people that really run college football, are they gonna? And I know you don't have to. People don't shoot me on here, but are the people that be going to let that happen? And what I mean by that, people that are. I'm not trying to be a big conspiracy theory guy, but there's definitely higher beings that play parts in these college football games. There just are. I mean, just be foolish not to say that there's something else involved. We know that refs have put a lot of money on games and they can kind of control the speed of the game and things like that. But basically, I mean, Bama's just got to really the thing that would want to happen, I guess, would be Bama just to show up and play them a good game. And Georgia probably not to cover, they win by, field goals. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Or does, I guess it depends on who I was taking the point. So, because either way, like you just said, it's going to leave, it's a high possibility that neither one of us get in because of where you just showed that, where they left Ohio State. That just gives them a chance to get back in this thing. Because what are we going to say? Well, they're a one-loss team, and they lost to the number 2 team in the country.
And Michigan's going to probably be in a cakewalk in their championship game.
Yes. While Washington, Oregon is going to be a good game. Texas is going to walk through.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State. I heard Pate on Late Kick. I watch a lot of his stuff too. And he said that Texas will have to, teams shoot themselves in the foot. He said Texas will have to shoot themselves in both feet. They would have to just totally fall apart. So with the rankings, and we'll move on from that, I guess. I'm just not. I mean, these people. Here's something I heard too. They don't do this as a full-time job, as we don't either. We have other jobs outside of this. So it'd be like me and you being on a board that has the final say. I think I would kind of personally, I would like to have input from people that just cover the college football for a living. I would like to hear the opinions of Josh Pates and Joel Klatz and Greg McElroy's. Those are the guys that I would really like to hear from.
We should put those top guys, 12 of them, in a room and see what their rankings are.
Yeah,
that'd be great to see.
Yeah. If you watch Late Kick with Josh, they have their own top 25. They don't even pay attention to the AP poll or college selection, and it's kind of close in some ways. They've been a little bit higher with Georgia, just pretty much all throughout the year. And I think they got Bama at 7. So, it's kind of close. But the difference is where are you ranking these other teams? And when you keep a team like Tennessee, for example, what this does for playoff selection, I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. it's going to look good on when we're going to pick down between Oregon and Georgia, Birge, because they're going to have a win over Tennessee. They have wins over more top 25 ranked teams, and it's that one more because they left Tennessee in there. You see what I'm saying? But they dropped Utah out. So I'm just not sure what they're trying to do. I hope they're not trying to just make it a Michigan and a Florida State thing. I guess I don't know. I just don't want to see any more bad games because after last year, you snuggle in there and you in your little snuggle blanket and you tied up there at the TV and you're ready to watch the national championship game. And probably by the time both teams had went up and down the field about twice, I knew with that first drive of TCU, I was like, they are not ready. They are just not ready to play football. It's daylight and dark. It's like they're playing football in slow motion, and it just wasn't even close.
I seen an early projection that had if it was 1 versus 4, like if it was chalk here, Georgia 1, Michigan 1, Washington 1, Florida State 1. It would be the 1 versus 4 matchup. Georgia would be favored anywhere from 14 to 17 points.
And whether people like it or not, and that's okay. Whether you like it or not, if Bama's in this thing, say if they beat Georgia Saturday and Georgia bumps to, let's say they bump them to 3 and Bama rolls in at 4, that'll play Bama would have to play a Michigan, and Oregon would probably, I guess if they win, that's what I'm saying. I would assume to say that. But a lot of people think that, but if Bama wins, it's going to drag Texas in because they're the only team that beat them head to head. And if they go beat, Okie State, they're, 36-13, then it's going to be like Texas 3, Georgia 2, Michigan 1, Bama 4.
They're going to drop Georgia out of it, I think.
See, I mean, that's just some scenarios are kicking around there because they're saying, well, if you're going to leave in if Oregon's going to get in, they won their conference, and they're a one-loss team, then how are you not going to let a Georgia one-loss Georgia team that's won so many games in a row,
not a conference champion?
Yeah. Bama got in doing that before. They didn't win the conference.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think there's just too much. There's too many zeros right now because Michigan's going to go undefeated, depending on what Washington does. If Florida State wins, Michigan wins, Washington wins, Georgia is not. Unless Georgia wins, they are out.
Yeah. Now, that scenario I could see. Because you know what they'll do? They'll probably put them at 5 and bump everybody. They'll bump Ohio State back in there. They'll put them at 4. But really, I mean, do we – look, I know we're a little biased because of who we cover. But do we want to see round 1, Michigan 1 versus Ohio State 4, and Florida State and Washington will be the first round? Florida State, Washington, Michigan plays Ohio State, and the winner, what if Ohio State avenges herself and comes out and wins? And then I'm just going to assume that Washington beats Florida State. So you got Washington and Ohio State. Let me say this up front. If that's how it happens, the rankings will be low. Nobody's going to tune in to watch that. It wasn't very high rankings last year, and the dropout rate within the first hour of the game last year was some of the highest drops off that, in TV that we've seen. I want to see a good game. And it may not involve Alabama, and that's okay. I just think Oregon is one of the most dangerous teams out there playing right now, but they got to put up or shut up. They got to play a good game Saturday, and they need to win their conference.
I think they will, to be honest with
you. Yeah, I know. I kind of feel that way too. I picked them to win. I mean, we see how Washington's been playing. The last time they played.
I think they might rein in some of those 4th down plays this time.
Washington looked lucky though. Funny. They look lucky to beat Ward at Washington State.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody has a bad day, don't play very well. So this ranking system is kind of funky, guys. So a lot of things could happen Saturday, and then Sunday. What time's the Sunday selection come on?
Starts at 12 noon Eastern.
Okay, so Sunday night on the show, y'all come back and come in and hang out on the show.
You should know everything, probably even bowl games by then.
Yeah, come back on Sunday with us, and we'll all get back together and talk about it, and because we'll have plenty of information to talk about. We'll have a couple of high school games around here to break down. We're going to be with some media guy from Gadsden. They're going to come up and cover the Coosa game, so we're going to be down there, Coosa, Pickens County. A lot of people here from the area are going to be at that game. It's a 1A matchup. Cherokee County will be on the road again. They'll be up at Westminster. So weather-wise, looking forward to clear out. Probably about lunch or so. I don't think it's going to be no rain to interfere. So come back Sunday night. Birge, come back on with us, and we'll have a lot to talk about. And we'll kick around some high school scores, and you can give us some over there. And we'll just dig real deep into it. And we'll bring coffee for Dean to keep him awake, and we'll bring a hamburger on so he won't starve and blow away. And we'll just eat pizza here live on the show, and we'll get into it and just daggone break it down.
The reason why I did that because Cody Amos asked if I was a Bama or a Georgia fan.
Yeah. No,
I am a Georgia fan, but I'm a football fan. I'm a fan of all good football.
Mostly, yeah, I agree, Kevin. That's kind of what we're kicking around there. If Georgia's playing somebody else, I'm usually a Georgia fan. I mean, it's just where we grew up, and I spent a lot of time over there and had a lot of friends from Coosa and Almerchi and Rome, Pepperell. I mean, I know a lot of people over there. They're all Georgia fans, and it's just kind of where we live because I live like right on the Georgia line. I grew up like nearly not much further from Rome as it was to Gadsden. I mean, it's closer to Rome probably for us to go to Rome than it was to Gadsden. So we spent a lot of time in our teenage years over in Rome hanging out over there in the 90s. So I dig it, man. This is going to be a great matchup. Let's get into that and see how Georgia's favored by 5.5, and how does Georgia probably? How do they hang on to win this game? And we'll do something like scenarios type stuff, or just different levels of the offense. We'll say Georgia's on defense first and talk about their defense. And being against Bama's stronger part of offense is probably, you'd say Milroe running the ball probably on scrambles. You think that's probably a bigger part of their offense?
I think the couple things that you circle as far as what Georgia has to do on defensively, is can't give up you can't get too far upfield against Milroe because he's going to go right up the middle. He's going to he's a big guy and he can run. And you get out of your rush lanes, he's going to hurt you. And he's going to try to hit the deep ball. Bama's going to run it. They're going to play action. They're going to try to hit the deep ball. How do you play one-on-one? Because Georgia's going to put their corners in one-on-one. I mean, Alabama does the same thing. They're going to be one-on-one. They're going to bring pressure. How does Bama's O-line handle the cross blitzes and different things that they're going to do, that Georgia's going to do. Georgia doesn't have they don't have the Jalen Carter, or they don't have the elite pass rusher. They do it more by committee, sometimes with linebackers coming, even sometimes with corners coming. There's a couple corners that have a few sacks, but I figure that there'll be some pressures that they'll try to force Milroe to make a bad throw, which he in the past has done from time to time. I'm interested to see if when I say we, Georgia gets the Milroe that is tuck the ball and run, or the Milroe who's trying to throw it until he's 5 yards past the line of scrimmage. So
yeah,
those two guys were totally different that game, obviously Auburn, crazy environment. We've been there, we done that this year. So, we barely beat them. And what a I was sitting there watching that game like, holy moly, wow. Anyway.
Yeah. Me too.
Defensively, that's what Georgia's going to do. They're going to try to, not really get after him, but try to contain him. He's going to get his. He's going to get the 25-yard run. It's really going to be. I think it's going to come down to third downs. Georgia's like top 5 in the country in third down efficiency on offense. If they can get Milroe and Alabama off the field 4 or 5 times, between the second and third quarter, and get a lead, because I believe Alabama's defense is pretty good, but I think if Georgia's guys are back and they're healthy, and Carson Beck is able to stand up in the pocket and not be rattled by whatever pressure Alabama brings, I think he can get the ball to those receivers. I think he showed he can get it to them. So I think that's how Georgia wins the game. On my book is third down efficiency, and they're gonna come out and try to run the ball as well, and see how that goes. Is on Alabama's side, I heard McClellan's going to be out for this game. Is that true?
I don't know. See, I never heard anything else, so I'm assuming that he is. Because I hadn't heard that he was. You know what I'm saying? Because we know he got he's been a little nicked up. But I mean, from Jam Miller to Roydale to even Hayes, the kid that played over there. Where did he play at? Was it Grayson, or he come from one of them big schools over there? The fourth guy, the Haynes kid. Yeah. Justin, where did he play at?
Did he play at Buford?
Yeah, maybe. Because his daddy played too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where do you think, still speaking Georgia defensively and Alabama offensively, where is Georgia strong where Alabama's weak at in that situation of Georgia being on defense, Alabama on offense?
Like I said, I don't think Georgia has the elite pass rushers, but Georgia's gave up a lot of. I can't really pinpoint a place where I feel like Georgia. I mean, I like Georgia's secondary.
Yeah, they're really good.
I think they'll be good enough and they'll be extremely motivated, especially with Bama's number 1 receiver being a transfer from Georgia. I mean, they're going to want to do everything they can to make sure that he doesn't, come in and steal the show.
And Burton's going to talk. Burton's never going to shut up the whole game. I don't care for that. I'm old.
Probably Laster on him, and probably safety over the top. So
Smith.
I think the secondary versus Alabama's receiving core is maybe a plus on Georgia's side.
Yeah, plus to a negative. Yeah.
I think that the linebacking core at Georgia, especially if Demus Johnson isn't able to play, which I don't look for him to. I think they're young and they lack a lot of experience, and they could give up the pass. But here's the problem: Milroe's not a middle of the field or a 10 to 15 yard pass guy or 7 to 15 yard pass guy. Milroe's a deep passer. I mean, would you not agree?
Percentagely, he's a better. Statistically speaking, Bama is one of their top 30 in 20-plus yard passes down the field, and their top 50 in 5 to 10 yard passes up the field. So yeah, they try to hit you with those big plays, and the other plays he's going to try to run and make some room, and then the other part of the time they're gonna try to run the ball.
Yeah, and I think they might have success. It seems like most people have success lately out on the edges running against Georgia.
Yes,
I'm glad
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, and it's just because
well,
like
they're
the
just
big
not
play,
playing. They're in the NFL. I mean, they're just
yeah.
You graduated 2 great classes.
Yeah, a lot of incorrect run fits. Linebackers getting shielded off by the lineman, getting to the second level because
Yep.
either running in the wrong hole or not taking the right, not making the right read, those type things, and the long play. I can't remember which game it was, but
Tennessee
Tennessee game.
He
Yeah, the
just read
first
it
play of the
wrong.
game. Yeah,
He just read the play wrong.
he went inside. The guy got outside of him.
Yep.
Safety still should have made a tackle, but never slowed him down, and he just took off. But I don't know. What do you got as far as the Georgia defense versus Alabama on offense?
I'm going to say Bama is more of a jump cut. They're not up the middle type of run the ball. They have some pretty decent success against Auburn and up the middle stuff. And they just quit doing it. They stopped. They just got away from it. And it was kind of strange. It kind of looked like they were working practice plays to get ready to play Georgia. Like, okay, we think we can do this. We could just beat them right now. We could go up 30-0 by halftime, but let's let him stand back here and throw some and see. Let's help him get in some more of a rhythm for timing for passing to get him ready to throw the ball against Georgia. So negatives and positives. The biggest negative towards the positive for Bama and the negative for Georgia would be Georgia defensively, the edges. They have a tough time. I think they're in the top 100 or so against the RPO plays. These guys like to bounce the ball. That's why Auburn had so much success against Georgia. They're not, like you said, they don't have those rushers up on the edges. And Kirby's going to be the guy. He's one of the greatest guys to drop defense that there was and that there is. He's going to have some stunts and different blitzes and different packages on. He'll hold a linebacker for that 1 second, and you think he's dropped back, he's playing his zone, then he tears off, down upfield on the guy. So if they can get into a rhythm of some speed sweep stuff and some counters to things to work outside, like these 5 technique things that are working on that.
Pin and pull.
Where you're getting the ball as he's running. Okay. Maybe this is me. Now, I don't know if they're going to do this. I would like to bring a Burton in motion and pitch him the ball on some plays, maybe do a left, maybe run it right. And then I'm going to run some of that again a little later. I'm going to say some of those plays were later, and I'm going to fake that pitch, and I'm going to tire off the other way. If you get the man coverage that you're looking for, if you get a safety or corner tearing across following Burton, then I'm going to have Milroe go back the other way with it. You know what I'm saying? And have a tight end just kick out, block, and try to tie that end up. That would be successful. Those are the negatives for Georgia and positives for Bama. They're good at bending the plays. It's kind of what they've bread and butter to, because the offensive line, the first many games that we all sat here and griped and complained about how bad their offensive line was. So sometimes, the backs were running for their life, trying because they had a bouncer. Like, oh, what a great bounce and a look and vision. No, it's just because the hole collapsed because the lineman wouldn't move his freaking lazy fat feet. So the guys were having to. McClellan's having to make plays out in space, and he could get 3 or 4, and he's down. Now, on the other side, if you flip that around and say, what are the negatives for Bama? What are the positives for Georgia? I think you hit it right on the head. It's definitely the wide receiver play for Bama. Burton's their top guy, and we know Nye Black's been a part of, what they've been doing too. And of course, Bond, he's gonna have some catches, but it still is what it is. Okay, the same as Georgia's negative of not having those elite big dogs up front on the ends. They just graduated. I mean, what are you going to do? He's working on replacing them. Do they have some guys? Yes. So there's some guys coming, sure. But those are the areas, and y'all's backs, the corners at Georgia, Smith, and what's the other guy's name? It plays the other side, has the weird last name, the cornerback.
I'm trying to think. You threw me off with a weird last name.
He's got it ain't Smith. It's the other guy that plays the other cornerback y'all have. They're good. They're good players, and when he drops and they play like a cover two, they're going to be hard to throw against because these guys they're elite, and they stay at home well. They read plays pretty much for the most part. Now we have to go against who we've seen them play. And probably the better teams that they've played this year would be like probably Ole Miss. That's probably the best team they've seen all year. That's probably the best offensive team, I would say. Well, now Missouri Schrader never run the ball well on, but they run the ball well on about anybody. So that's the positives and the negatives as far as Bama on offense and Georgia on D. Now, I'll flip it around and start this way. Bama's defense with Beck with Georgia's offense. Now, where Bama being, what is their negative? What is Alabama's negative on defense, and what is Georgia's positive on offense? I like Downs and the guys and McKinstry and Arnold and the guys that play, in the back. But sometimes they're upset because they're young. Now, they're all going to be back next year, most all of those guys. Now, Kool-Aid has just nearly been unmentionable for the past week or two. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if he's hurt and he's gimped up and he's just trying to work through it. They already took him off special teams. He's not returning punts. They got Downs back there returning punts now. They're susceptible sometimes to just literally living with their head up their butt like they did in the Iron Bowl, and they let 6 get out there against them like twice. He's not even covered. There's nobody even in the camera vision. And the positive is Beck. He is timing on releasing the ball. I think he's second in the country on time of holding the ball, where Milroe is more down on I think he was like 12 or 15 on time holding the ball. Milroe's going to hold it a little longer because Bama's trying to hit more of an explosive, bigger play down the field, which I think they need to get out of and be a little more like Georgia, because Beck is hitting 10 yards quick. The ball gets out of his hand fast. So those are the positives for Georgia, is him being able to stand back there, and he makes quick decisions. He makes good reads. He's thrown very few picks on the year, and he's been a great fill-in for Bennett to come in there and try to three-peat for Georgia. So now, with Georgia's offense and Bama's defense on the field, how do you see that kind of playing out? Where is one good, and how does one take advantage of the other in their goods and bad spots?
Yeah, I think you mentioned, Beck just being able to be super efficient on offense, and I feel like with Georgia, with everybody healthy, you don't know where they're going. They could always go to Bowers, or they could run Bowers across the middle on a clear out route, And trust me, if Bowers is going across the middle, people are paying attention to him, So you might hit McConkey underneath or something. So if those guys are healthy for Georgia, I think that makes a huge difference in this game because, McConkey's going to get his. Lovett. When you forget about Lovett or Rosemary Jack Saint, there they are running the deep cross route. They love to hit that route. And then Bowers, a little bit of everything. Screen him up, send him deep, one-on-one, out of the slot. I guarantee you're going to see him everywhere, against Alabama. You're going to see motion. You're going to see pre-snap motion to try to confuse those young guys in Bama secondary. And you're going to make them cover, you're going to see bunch formations. And I really, really think that you're going to see a whole lot of Kendall Milton trying to come right at Bama because I believe he's as healthy as he's been, and he looks better than he ever has as a Georgia Bulldog.
Yeah. That's and this time of year, everybody's nipped up or gimped up or something. And I'm questioned to, we knew going in to play Georgia Tech. It's not a big deal for me not seeing Bowers or McConkey or all these other guys. None of them played.
Yeah, they suck.
We know McConkey's got some back spasm issues. He's had some trouble on and off. And Bowers had this surgery. And just watching him play since he's been back, he is not the same. And they're not giving him the ball as much because they're trying to ease and take a, don't just throw it all on him at once. And I get that. They're trying to ease him into it. But I'm really – and Kirby's not going to let him play if he's not – I think Kirby's he knows that Brock wants to play. We all know that.
He was not very happy he didn't get to play last week. And
he's saving him, but I don't think Kirby's going to just put him out there. What I'm getting to is he's going to be at his best Saturday, because if he's not, Kirby will just say, well, you're just not going to play because you're just taking up the spot for somebody else. That is 100%.
Yeah.
But is Bowers 75% as good as the next guy under him's 100%? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's kind of yet to be seen on the young tight ends.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. If McConkey they're going to shoot him up. Everybody's going to have cortisone's going to be running wild and free in Atlanta on Saturday about 12 o'clock. Everybody and their brother-in-law, Coach Saban's probably get a cortisone shot in his old hip before he goes out. So there's going to be a lot of guys getting a lot of juiced up before they get out there and play, because this is it. Look, what we brought this up as soon as we come out on the show. If Georgia, if they don't win this, the way they put Ohio State, they're probably not going to make it.
No, I doubt it. I don't see how they would, because there's just too many teams that are right there that either have one loss or no losses to have the ability to win their conference championship.
Especially if Washington and Florida State wins and Georgia loses, there just ain't no way. There ain't no way. So the positives and negatives, again, I'll add to that. Those positives that Georgia has is the two guys we're just talking about there. And I also love it. Hey, Rosemary Jack Saint, wow, what an addition he's been too. So those are some of the positives. Now, positively, on the positive side of Bama's defense against negative for Georgia's, I think that pass rush is from Turner and Broswell are some of the best. They're some of the top guys in the conference and some of the top 5 or so in the country. How they get after the quarterback, how not even to get the sack, but to make him just feel incredibly uncomfortable. So this is going to sound stupid. Beck running the ball may play a huge role on a 3rd-and-7, and he's slow as Tom Brady. But if it's 3rd-and-7 and they rush the pocket and nobody's spying him, nobody's looking or even guessing he's going to run, just like Thrawn did in Auburn. Nobody's thinking he's going to run, and he would just tear off on these huge runs, and he's slow as me, but it didn't matter because nobody's even close, so he can rip off 10 to 15 yards before you ever know what's going on. So I think that may play a part in the game, that Bama's defense should be aware that you can't just let him – you're going to have to get him on the ground pretty quick, especially 3rd down situation, 3rd, 7, and 8. The house has got to come, and it's got to hit pay dirt. You cannot let him stand back there. He's got to get dirty. You're going to have to put him on his back. And the negative part, Georgia hadn't been as efficient this year as they usually been, and we've talked about this every show you've been on. They hadn't run the ball very well. Bama neither. We was watching the game before we come on. When they played 2 years ago. Man, they don't have none of those guys. They're just not there. Now, are they okay? Yes, there are some good tailbacks, but that's where they may be lacking, and where Bama can make up for some of that lack of run depth, that they're not quite as good. Milroe can take off with it and make up for some of that rushing, and Georgia's Beck is not going to be able to take up that slack, because this is going to be the best defense that Georgia has seen, and this is going to be the best quarterback that Alabama's seen. I mean, you can say Quinn Ewers and Texas, that's fine. I saw the game on the field. I watched Alabama beat Texas. 2 touchdowns were called back. I'm not super impressed with Quinn Ewers, just not really. I think Beck slings it just as good or better than he does. this is going to be the better quarterback that they've seen throwing the ball down the field. Now, we can all know Jaden Daniels is my favorite for the Heisman. He's broke every record for SEC. He's broke LSU records for more rushing touchdowns and passing touchdowns and yards in a game. But I just mean a pure pocket kind of guy. Alabama's just not seen a guy like him. And it's just going to be a real awakening when that ball comes off his hand lightning fast. You can simulate all you want to at practice, but until that ball is thrown for the first time and Downs or Kool-Aid sees the ball coming down the field, then they're going to have to adjust. And the decision is going to be how fast does Georgia adjust and how fast does Bama adjust, because it's just going to come down to really two things: penalties, who's going to take care on the 3rd and 5, and somebody's going to jump off sides and give them a first down, and turnovers. Who's going to be able to create more turnovers? Defensively, Bama leans a little better in creating more turnovers. Georgia's liable to turn the ball over. I think it was 2. There's like 2 difference in it. So there's not even really an arguing point for it, really, because it's really close. One was 10 and one's 12. So, and I know we both are going to pick our own teams to win the game. And it being a 5.5 point favorite for Georgia. So how does, and to kind of tie into what we've both brought up on both sides, goods and bads for both offenses and defenses, as we're kind of doing a check mark in our head, this one's a little better here. Well, this one's a little better here. What about special teams? Where do we lay out? Because that's the huge part, man. We're talking about field goal kickers and punt return. So, where does that check off the list?
Well, if you get a punt return yard off of Georgia, then you will be the first person in the entire season. So I think that's a weapon.
Yep.
Time versus length of kick. You got speedsters out there going and covering, and they just ain't been able. Nobody's returned anything.
Now, most people that's probably watching this know who Georgia's played. There's probably not many people watching because they're watching. They're probably Georgia and Bama fans. So who's Bama's? Who's Georgia's punt returner? Just kind of tell people who he is, because I've seen him.
You talking about Muse?
Yes.
Mighty Mouse?
Yes.
I'm gonna let me pull up his stats, because that's something worth looking at.
Yeah. Yeah. While you bring that out, I'll say too that special teams, it definitely leans towards Georgia, but there's a game or two difference in there to where, and Georgia can't help who they play, but the teams that they're having to go against is not LSU, and it's just, there's a few different teams in there that make it a little different. So those are why you're going to see some better yards on some teams when Bama's played Texas and Georgia played whoever they had that week. So it's going to be a little bit different. So now with Caleb Downs being back there taking punts, I'm going to say that Georgia has not seen a punt returner like Caleb Downs, because he's from right over there, just about 40 minutes from the stadium. Grew up right over there.
The biggest thing as far as that goes, does he get the ability to return one? Is he looking down and seeing the rush and having a call for a catch? I don't know.
Did he take punts at Buford? Was he? I don't know.
I don't know that.
Knowing what kind of player he is, it just wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
But also, we know at Buford they got they'll have 8 or 9 D1 guys on the team, so he may not have never did a punt return.
Malachi Muse is 5'8", 185 from Grayson, Georgia.
Grayson. Well, there's another powerhouse.
Yeah.
They'll address about 90 players. I swear I was told that 17 of those 80 they had one year. This is about, 2017 or 18. 17 of those players signed D1.
I believe it. 17.
That's crazy.
I've seen people on those teams like that not even being starters,
Yeah.
Signed D1 scholarships.
Yeah. So special teams wide. Now, field goal kicking. Let's dig into that for a second. Tell us about Georgia's kicker. Where's he at? Now we know Bama's kicker. He's trying to tie the record for most points, and he's pretty legit. I think when money gets down to it, he's missed a time or two this year. Probably I know one for sure in bad time, the Iron Bowl. You missed one, and then he missed one or 2 weeks before that. But who's Georgia's kicker this year, and where do you like him at in this game? Hey, these kind of games, man, when you got two teams that are really close, these darn kickers are the ones. We seen what happened to Hot Rod and how that kind of went down. Man, these close games can lay on the kickers.
Let's see here. The kicker for Georgia is Peyton Woodring.
Yeah.
Early in the season, he had a few struggles. He missed one against Ball State. He missed one against South Carolina from the 40 to 49 yard range. He is yet to connect on a field goal, or yet to even have to kick a field goal over 50 yards. So don't really know about that.
Yeah.
4 out of 5 from 40 to 49, 13 of 13 from 30 to 39, 3 of 5 from 20 to 29, and then he hasn't kicked any inside 19 yards, but 87%, and he's been really good lately. The last say 8 games, he hadn't missed a field goal or extra point.
Yeah. So I think kind of laying it out all down into just kind of put it all together in one nice, pretty gold coin, heads and tails, Georgia and Alabama. It's definitely going to be a close game. It's not going to be one of those 2 or 3 years ago where Georgia was favored and Alabama just come in there and just beat them pretty bad. That they don't have those explosive players anymore at Bama. They don't. So I don't. We can pick scores if we want to. I mean, it's it's
hard to do. It's really hard.
It's our show. We can do scores if we want to, or we both are going to pick our teams to win. And I think we've both made good cases, and we want people to comment. If y'all are going back and watching this later on Thursday night, it's a locker room special show. Or if you watch it sometime, maybe at work or something tomorrow, or before you head out, maybe on your way to the game. Check this out. We're going to be on we're going to be on right at an hour. We'll cut it off.
Massey has Georgia 30 to 28.
Wow. See, that's what I'm talking about. And that score would not surprise me at all. And here's the only other side to that. I think that as of the past few weeks, Georgia has played their weather of fair opponents. Ole Miss, Missouri, and Tennessee. It is what it is. And, I don't know why they're still ranked. I don't got a clue. They just, after that Missouri whacking, they should have, I don't know how they stayed in the top 25. There's always an edge for one team or the other. Bama's playing with a chip because they know both teams. So that's, I guess, Bama has to win, period, to even maybe get a shot in. And Georgia too. It feels like this committee is they're sick of the SEC, and it looks like they're trying to get how we had 2 SEC teams in there. It looks like they're trying to get 2 Big Ten teams. Did you feel the same way? Does it feel that way to you?
I feel like that it could lean that way, because I'm telling you that they're going to try to match Alabama. If they win, they're going to try to match them up with Texas. And that committee is going to say, this is what they're going to say: the results on the field have to matter. And they're going to put Texas in.
That's fine. And Texas can play Michigan and get bulldozed. They'll get beat by 30. And I mean, it's just, I want to see good games. I don't care if it's my team involved or not. Georgia or Bama, somebody goddamn go in there and put a good team in there to play them. Now, the matchup for us, SEC Saturday, I think in favor of Bama having a tougher schedule, seeing Texas early and being really tested early, where Georgia's just not had to dig and just kind of grit and bear and brawl. They're just rolling in here and just smoking people. They're bored. They're yawning on the sidelines over there with their shoes off and their feet up, just taking care of business. Now, when they've had to play people, they had to tighten down, and it's hard to get them back down to earth. And they played a tight game against Auburn. But Auburn's going to play Georgia and Bama with their hair is just on fire, and they're going to be running around like some crazy old bald men out there. That's what you're going to get. I think some of the game experience to the season plays to Bama's favor, and I give Bama an edge for that. And being able to get back. The defensive rush from Broswell and Turner, I think that's going to be able to slow down some of that passing. Now, a healthy McConkey and Bowers, they're still going to get theirs, but I think it can limit some of that stuff. But if Georgia scores 31, and I did not know that you was going to pick that massive. I already had this laid out in my head. If Georgia scores 31, Bama don't win. And I may be wrong. This game might be freaking 52-47. I don't see that happening. But that's just how I'm thinking. It's going to be that score is that's a pretty good score. I could lean like gosh, man, I don't see. I mean,
it's hard.
It's hard to pick a score because you're trying to think, are they going to be able to score each quarter?
Well, I'll tell you the score that I picked, and people will probably not like it or whatnot, but
it don't matter. It's your score. They don't have to like it. It's not their score.
I like something around either 35 or 38 to 24 or 27 in Georgia's favor. And I think the reason why is because I think Georgia's going to be able to keep Carson back upright, and he's going to sling it because he's going to have to. And they're going to mix in the run enough, keep Alabama off balance, and move the chains on third down. I'm telling you, look at the third down percentage when this game's over, and if the person who stays on the field on third down is going to win this game.
Yeah, what? I'll look at third down efficiencies, and like the team that's like 4-16 on third down usually is not beating the team that's 6 for 10.
You're just
on third down.
You're not moving the ball consistently. You're punting, too many punts.
Let's see, an over-under. I think the over-under, I think it was 58 and a half. I think I read that somewhere, and I could agree with that. I think Vegas had it 58 and a half, 59. That's saying that both teams are going to be right about what Massey's picking, 28-30, something like that.
ESPN says 54 and a half.
54 and a half, see?
I punched the over, I think, on that.
Yeah, I don't know if either team's going to score 30. And last time I remember, I was really confident on a game that they were not going to score 30. Bama played Clemson that year, and they both scored 50. They were just running that down. It was close, and then like the fourth quarter, like everybody just stopped playing defense, and they just run up and down the field, and they're just taking turns scoring 3-4 play drives, touchdown.
I'm excited to see who's the big end that Bama has.
A defensive guy, Broswell. Or Turner, he's the one on the other side.
Yeah,
he's
Turner.
The one that, yeah.
I'm excited to see Turner go up against Big Mims.
Yep.
At tackle for Georgia. I think that is an elite matchup right there.
That is. That's an NFL matchup.
Yeah, I think Mims is probably going to be a top 15 guy this year.
Yep. I'm curious to see if Bama can play to Georgia's weakness and be able to get to the edges and play the ball out in space where Georgia's not so good at. And I'm curious if Georgia up front can try to limit some of Milroe's stuff. And I'm also curious about Bowers and McConkey. How healthy are they really? Because if they're not clicking along pretty well at a pretty high percentage, they're not going to win the game. They're so reliant on those two. Then there's other guys. The Rosemary Saint guy's great, and who's the other tight end?
Oscar Delp.
Delp, yeah,
he's not there yet.
But they're not Bowers, and they're just not. Now,
Dylan
there's
Bale.
always
Dylan Bale.
Yes, that's who I was going to bring up. There's always something on both teams. And I always try to pick one guy that's going to, show out that you just don't think is going to be the guy. And I think it's going to be Bell for Georgia. And I don't know if they're just going to ball up. I want to say Burton because he's got it in his head. He wants to win this game. He really wants to push it in their face, but he's so emotional, man. If they get in his head early, I don't know if he'll ever rebound from it.
I think Georgia's playing with a little chip on his shoulder too. I know they're the back-to-back champs, but they've not been able to beat Alabama and Atlanta. So
no,
they're looking to do something they hadn't done.
Yep, 3-0. Saban has never even lost in Atlanta except for once to Tebow. He's 8-1.
That's
I mean, nobody's been able to beat. When Bama goes to the conference title game, they just don't lose. Tebow's the only guy to do it. So, will Beck and Crew and Mims, Edwards, will those guys be enough? Will Bowers be 100%? Is McConkey going to be ready to play? Is Kool-Aid McKinstry going to be ready to play? How's Caleb Downs going to look on defense? How's Milroe going to be in the pocket? Is he going to be settled? And he's going to stand back there, check, throw, run, get rid of it, those type things. It's all up in the air, guys, and we'll find out Saturday.
What do you think about the crowd? You think 50-50?
Yeah. It's such a normal thing for really both teams. I mean, honestly, It's just this is the game that, I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, besides LSU, every once in a while, they sprinkle them in. You may put a little pin drop of Auburn every 5 or 10 years in there, but this is just where Alabama and Georgia play. We're just going to find out who the best is.
It's going to be very interesting next year, man. I know that's a totally different subject, but
yeah, I mean, it could be. It could be. I don't know. It could be Georgia and Missouri. I don't know. Bama's bringing it back about everybody. A lot of their defensive guys are coming back, and a lot of their backfield's coming back. Milroe will be back again, play another. So they'll be favored to return, as well as Georgia will, because of recruiting class, and Beck's going to be back again another year or so. But give me one crazy thing, and I'm going to give you one of my crazy things, because there's always something happens in one of these games. It's like, well, what? That just don't – I did not see that coming. So give me something kind of not necessarily a play, but maybe a player that does something uncharacteristic that just kind of surprises you. Give me one of your thoughts on the game. We'll wrap it up.
I'm going to say that somebody that we hadn't seen a lot of gets in the game and catches a bomb from Carson Beck. And I'm going to say Arian Smith, number 11. He played a lot this year. Not real sure if he's been hurt or just, just straight up getting outplayed. But he is he's a speedster, and I think maybe once or twice he might get on top of the defense, make a big play.
I'm gonna go with. I'll kind of give you two. There's one that's got on my mind. I've kind of brought it up a while ago, but there's always usually a tailback somewhere in that stable of Alabama that just kind of keeps wrangling around, and he just wants to be seen by a coach so bad. And it's either Roy Day or Jam. One of these guys are going to have a 112 yards rushing Saturday. Now, I'm not saying if that's really, but if one of them has 112 and the other two have 40 and one has 60, that's going to be a 215 yard rushing day. If Bama can rush for about 220 and throw for about 275, I think that may be enough. But that special teams, Downs is going to have to get punts and have to get them down the field. And also you got to think too, how many times are these teams going to punt? And how many times are these teams really used to punting? Georgia's not used to punting hardly any at all. Their punters not had to punt the ball a lot. They've just kind of walked through everybody. That's going to be interesting. But here's something I'll bring up again. And I'm just telling you, if something like this happens at all these games, watch out for Beck's legs. Don't be surprised. I'm not saying he's going to go out there and rush for 100, but I'm saying on these 3rd and 7s and stuff, and they're all turned back and they're peeling out up the field, and Georgia's dropped back in a PA, pass play, he may tear for the ball and get a first down.
Wouldn't it be something if that was the deciding of the game or something? We're coming in talking about Milrow and what he can do on the ground, and Beck ends up doing something like that. That would be very interesting.
This has happened before. I've just been watching football too long. Don't be surprised if Milrow at halftime, if Milrow's passed for a lot of yards and Beck may have a few more rushing than you think. I'm just saying, sometimes those tables switch right around, and the thing we're trying to stop from happening from one, they do stop it. Bama's not going to let Beck just stand back here and throw the ball. They're going to get after his butt, and he's going to have to tear off and run. But the only thing is, he's not very fast, and if he catches one of those guys coming up the side and old Broswell or something bears down on him and pops that old head for him, it could be a bad day. But here's another thing I hope for, and I know you hope for this too. Just let's have a goddamn good called game.
Yeah, let's not have a referee.
Let's not have Iron Bowl. That's the most garbage. That's some of the worst play calling. Auburn and Alabama both just got hosed in this game. There was holding all over the place. Guy's head nearly gets ripped off in his helmet. It looked like something off Mortal Kombat. And I mean, it's just there's catches. Burton makes the catch up the sideline. Auburn's guys are clapping. We'll get a bad snap. They got 3 guys moving at one time. They act like they've never even seen football before. Are you joking? I hope that we have good refs, that it could be a good, clean game. Let it be cheapy. That's fine. Get out there and run your mouth. I don't let them push and grab each other a little bit up the sidelines, because I think it may have been I think it was last time they played when Williams got hurt and come out. They kind of let them play, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with just letting them play. Let them push and shove a little bit. I'm good with it. Now, you don't want a guy pulling another guy down, okay? I mean,
Yeah.
I like Bama by field goal. You like Georgia by how many?
I like them to cover. I mean, I think they're going to cover, to be honest with you.
What'd you say, 28, 30, 31?
I think it was like 38, 24. So what is that, 14?
Sure, he's spanking for a hosing, son. They saying the dog's going 2 touchdowns. They're going to dog them.
No, that's not what it said. I mean, it was what? It was more than 10 points last time we played, and it was a close game until we ran that kickback.
Yeah. Special teams, that's all we've talked about that. And again, I bring this up again, just to have a darn good game. They just go out there and both guys play hard and talk some smack, talk about somebody's mama and somebody's going to split their head down the middle and go out there and bark and be loud and spit on the ball. I love it. Let's be careful with the targeting. Keep your heads up. See where you're going when you make the tackle. Okay, let's not be foolish. Let's act like we've played football before and know that the refs are going to call it. And pull your darn pants down over your knees. And why are you stinking mouthpiece or just throw it up the sideline somewhere? I'm just about done. I'm sick of that.
I don't see how they don't get penalized for that. I mean, I never see anybody with their knees covered.
Me and you are at a lot of every Friday we're at high school football games. They always, when they come out to meet in the middle of the field, I've seen refs stop the kids walking out and said, hey, pull them down over your knees. Okay, you understand? And when you get in playoff times this part of the year, they don't even let them wear face paint. They tell them, no, go on and take that off. You can't wear that. It's distracting. It's bringing attention to yourself. So we'll look for a good game Saturday. I'm going to go over under. I'm going to say under 58. I don't think they 31-28, 28-24, something nearly like an Auburn score, something kind of close to that. Maybe the Georgia-Auburn score, going towards, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if Georgia wins,
I'll probably take the over.
I would say Georgia wins a game. I'm going to look for something like that. Probably if it's 36-28, say Georgia's up by a touchdown, Bama may get the ball and go down and try to kick a late field goal to try to get back within, you know what I'm saying, and Georgia gets the ball, and Bama's hoping they can get the ball back. And the time just kind of runs out on them. So Georgia's up 4 late in the game, and maybe Georgia hits a play up the side, and the clock just starts to run down on them, and they're already up 4. So they kick a late field goal with under a minute left. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To put them up 7. Because Saban's not a good clock manager. I guess he thinks he gets frequent flyer miles if he saves his timeouts to halftime. I don't know what he's doing. Hey, I get credit for my airline for my Delta plane tickets. I get to save timeouts. Dude, I don't get that at all. He's a terrible clock manager. I don't like how he manages the clock at all. And he's the greatest to ever do it. And who am I to question him? Just a pee-hole yakka-doodle from Cherokee County, Alabama. I just don't like how he manages the clock. And I'll argue with anybody over it. Y'all come back Sunday and hang out with us, and we'll talk about the game after Bama wins and crushes the Dogs again. 4-0 SEC title game against Georgia. But if they don't, you know what? Good luck to them, and I hope they're going to win it all. You better go win it now. Now, don't get up there and get spanked by khaki pants.
We've seen khaki pants before. We've seen that.
This team's they're a little different though now. They fired up now. They got some juice behind them.
I'm not sure. I think their defense was better then, and I'm not sold on their quarterback. I think we're going to put him on his butt.
I don't. What are you talking about? That guy from last year, Braveheart, Mel Gibson. What was his name? Guy painting his face up like one of them Indians, one of them Irish settlers off Braveheart that Mel Gibson played. Hutchinson.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, I didn't even hear his name called during the game. Not once. Not one time. 0.
Yep.
All right, Birge. I'm gonna get out here and go put my feet up and go put in the time clock for the man. We'll be where's Big Mike? What are you talking about? I'm sure Matt will give me okay. No, I'm not gonna pay your bets there, honey. You got your own money. Birds will bet with you. Jerry. No, because just as soon as she's talking to Jerry. We'll have the Big Ten officials, and you know what that means. It ain't gonna matter, Jerry, because Georgia not winning no way. The only thing you're gonna be doing is playing in a bowl game, watching Bama go play for a title again. Well, you take care of the puppies. You hear me, players? Sorry you had to hear that, Birge.
I think I know who that is. Pretty sure.
He's older than you. He's some years behind me. He went to school at Cedar Bluff, and we get on Facebook and we make a mess of Facebook. People think we hate each other. I've had people message me and say, "What's wrong with this guy? Is he retarded? Why does he keep saying stuff? Do you not like him?" I was like, "No, we're just doing it to get the reaction that we're getting." People go nuts. I mean, people just, we have like 50 comments on the page. We're just going at each other. Georgia's terrible. All they do is pay the refs and look at all he talks about is Alabama. I'm really think Jerry's a Bama fan, a closet Bama fan. And all he posts is just constantly Nick Saban writes checks. I've never seen a post of him celebrating his dogs. I just hadn't. Now we'll go back on Facebook and he can pull up his history. He's just, his whole life revolves around dogging Bama. It's like he's an Auburn fan. I think he's really probably an Auburn fan, but deep down he loves Alabama. But he pulls for Georgia because where he lives, he's got some kind of weird menage a trois going on. Jerry, what have you got going on over there? Yes, we know. We love you, Jerry. It's good to see you on here. I'm glad you come by, and we hope you're doing good. And we can look for a good game this weekend. Guys, thank y'all coming by a locker room special. And, hey, it's just another trip to Atlanta for Bama and the Dogs, and that's what they do. So y'all come back Sunday night and hang out with us all again. And if you hadn't already, hit the darn subscribe button. It's real easy. Find Birge over there right here where you're looking at him on his Twitter page. Find him on YouTube and Facebook. Guys, go over and give him a follow. Northwest Georgia Scoreboard Show. All you Northwest Georgia high school scores. Playoffs are right in the mix and things are heating up hot. So you definitely want to find it over there, and you know where to find us here. Just go to Google and type in the Birge, and he'll just come up. He's a world traveling man. And come back Sunday and hang out with us. Before Sylvia kills Jerry, I got to get off here.
All right, we'll see you, brother.
All right, thank you, Bird. See you, bro.